And we continue with the Christmas series with the fourth day of Christmastide, December 28th. I was shocked when I learned that Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman, died. I was sitting at work when I checked the newsfeed and a part of me died. For me, it felt like the prolonged childhood I had clung to for so many years had finally ended. This was the moment where, finally, it seemed it was time to grow up. I even put a comment on YouTube reiterating the same sentiment. It seemed that all the certainties of life were now gone because the voice of Batman, my Batman, was no longer there. I remember listening to Fat Man on Batman, that Kevin Smith podcast where he discusses all things, wait for it, Batman, and he had Kevin Conroy on. And boy, was it a show. I remember listening to it over and over again because it was so profound. The man who would become the definitive voice of an icon grew up in a broken home in Connecticut, had to endure an abusive father and found solace in the arts. Against all expectations, he ended up in Juilliard where he studied alongside the soon-to-be greats. The part that really stuck out to me was not the stories about his time at Juilliard or stage work, but working in New York the months before he went to school. Kevin worked in a mailroom, if I recall correctly, and the other workers were ribbing him, calling him Shakespeare. And when he finally got into Juilliard, they all cheered, "Shakespeare got into Juilliard!" And then they took him out to lunch. That story remains the most potent to me and resonates. I don't know why, I'm still trying to figure that one out. As a kid in the early 1990s, I remember watching Batman the Animated Series religiously, much to the annoyance of my parents. TV will rot your brain, they said. And it was the old adage that the old-timers had been saying since the 1950s. It was an escape, really, as home life was downright awful. My dad was a landscapist who constantly stopped by the local liquor store to pick up a bottle. I know because I would either be in the truck waiting for him or walking down the aisles holding his hand. I remember even as a 4-year-old the numerous bottles lying around the couch. I mean, he and Mom never shared the same bed, and she didn't want him there. And he was a functional alcoholic. He got the clients and did his job efficiently, but he always found his way back to the bottle. As you can imagine, he was a pretty mean drunk, a former soldier in Southeast Asia during the 1970s. And anyone who is familiar with history will know just how bloody it got there. First with Vietnam and then the Khmer Rouge. I've always thought the man was Khmer Rouge because a lot of his attitudes aligned with that of the regimes, particularly his hatred of people with glasses. I'm guessing he saw and did a lot of horrible things, and that could have played a major role in his full-blown alcoholism. I mean, I indulged as a college student, but these days I refuse to touch the stuff. I can't fathom still how this man ever functioned if he was just plastered all the time, but those are the mysteries of life. So, when Kevin Conroy came onto the podcast and spoke about his home life, it was uncanny. I mean, he was describing my own childhood to a T. Whereas he got closure, I never did. But, when learning of his passing, I came to realize that this entire time, the voice behind my favorite superhero had endured the same trauma I had. I mean, there I was, a little kid, watching Batman on TV, dreading my dad, never knowing that the voice actor had to go through the same thing that I did as a kid myself. And looking back now, it's ironic but comforting because it showed that I truly wasn't alone in the experience. There was someone out there who knew and understood the same thing and had lived it and got through it. I just wish I could have had the chance to tell him that, but it's one of the many regrets I've had to live with.